What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back. Today, folks, we'll be going back in time to the year 2021. We will be reviewing the top 10 most expensive cards from celebrations during that time. And we'll be comparing prices from that period to today's market. And this will include cards from the regular celebration set and the classic collection. I'm going to have to warn you, before you watch this video, your jaw will drop when you see some of the prices that people were paying back in late 2021 compared to what these cards sell for nowadays. So, you were warned. Thank you so much, community, for watching my videos. I appreciate it more than you know. Please consider supporting the channel by using my eBay affiliate link. I will have that in the description below. It helps out so much, so thank you to everybody who has been using it. So it seems like the mega popular and super available sets like Evolutions and Celebrations are the ones that took the hardest hit when you compare the 2020-2021 sales to the sales nowadays. So we're going to go over each one of them from the top 10 list back in 2021, including the honorable mentions, because those are also very interesting. Let's get started off with the number 10 most expensive card back in late 2021. When these cards were first graded, it was the Lance's Charizard V in PSA 10. Back then, folks, it was selling in auction for about $400. And when you fast forward to today, it's just so ugly. This card now sells in auction for about $36. And that, folks, is a 91% decrease in value when you compare 2021's prices to today's prices. Lance's Charizard V was extremely available. It came in the Lance's Charizard V collection box, and it just plain did not age well. The number 9 most expensive celebration card back then was the PSA 10 Birthday Pikachu Holo that was selling in auction for about $450. And when you fast forward to today, it's not looking too good, as it sells for about $48. And that would be about an 88.9% decrease. Which is a shame, because this is a beautiful card with that confetti holo. It fit perfectly with the theme of this card. The number 8 most expensive card back then was a little number called Team Magma's Groudon, in which a PSA 10 was selling for about $450. When you fast forward to today, this is probably going to be the biggest percentage decrease on our list, as it sells today for about $22.50. And that would be a 94% decrease. The number 7 most expensive card back then was the Mega Rayquaza EX. That was a reprint from Roaring Skies. This card was selling for about $500. And today, this card sells for about $31, which would be a 92.8% decrease. So is that the theme of this video? Are all of these cards going to be 90+% decrease? Not exactly. Stay tuned to the very end, you might be surprised. The number 6 most expensive Celebrations card was the Dark Gyarados that graded a PSA 10 was selling for about $510. Whereas today, you're looking at about $30 for a Gem Mint copy, which is another massive decrease of about 92.7%. The number 5 most expensive card back then was actually a gold full art Mew card that was selling as a BGS 10 for about $560. Whereas today, you can still get a nice little amount for this card at about $95. And that, folks, would be an 81.9% decrease. The number 4 most expensive card back then, folks, this is where it gets really disgusting. It was the holographic Blastoise that in PSA 10 was selling in auction a few times for about $726. Whereas today, you're looking at about $51 for a PSA 10. Which would be a 92.4% loss if you bought back then and you sold today. The number 3 most expensive card in 2021 was the Gold Star Greninja promo. Oh, folks, this is brutal. A PSA 10 was selling back then for about $922. And nowadays, it still doesn't do too shabby considering how many are available, as a PSA 10 sells for about $72, which would yield you a 91.6% loss. Now, I've been told throughout the years that this is actually a more difficult card to grade. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but regardless, there are still so many ETBs open and so many of these Gold Star Greninjas sent in that it was bound to saturate the market. The number 2 most expensive Celebrations card back then was, believe it or not, the Holo Charizard. that was selling as a PSA 10 for $1,800. But in today's market, a gem mint copy of this card sells for about $213. And it really doesn't dip much lower than that, folks. This is a very steady card nowadays, although it was a 87.9% decrease. You rarely ever see this card sell for below $200. Now on to the honorable mentions list. This is where it gets fairly interesting as well. Here we have a Zekrom card. This is just a run-of-the-mill, worth nothing raw Zekrom that was selling as a PSA 10 2.5 years ago for $127.50. And you believe it or not, folks, it still does pretty well nowadays, as a PSA 10 copy has recently sold for about $51. And that is a 61.9% decrease. So, which is much less than the cards we've been going over. The full art Reshiram used to sell for about $187.50, and nowadays it sells for about $33, and that is an 81.1% loss. Let's not forget about our favorite toad, Venusaur, which used to sell as a PSA 10 for about $206, and nowadays it sells for about $53, which is a 72.5% decrease. And then there was the Mewtwo EX, which is a reprint from Next Destinies that used to sell as a PSA 10 for about $300. Nowadays sells for about $31, which is about an 88% loss. The Rocket Zapdos was pulling in big numbers as well. Used to sell for $300 also, but today it took a major blow, as a PSA 10 copy just recently sold for about $19, which would be a 92.5% loss. The Mew EX reprint used to sell for about $305 in auction, and today it sells for about $27, an 89.8% loss. And perhaps one of the more baffling cards in this set, the Ho-Oh, like I said, it's just nothing special. You got this a bazillion times when you open up Celebrations packs. This card used to sell as a PSA 10 for $305, but much like the Zekrom, it still does fairly well as a PSA 10, as one recently sold for about $62, which would be a 79.3% loss. We used to see the Flying Pikachu VMAX sell for about $355 as a PSA 10, now sells for about $22.50, which would be a 92.8% loss. And then the Shining Magikarp had sold as a PSA 10 for $385, and today's market sells for about $47, which is an 86.4% loss. Which leads me to the number one most expensive card back then. It was the BGS 10 Gold Star Umbreon reprint that had sold at one point, and this is a legitimate sale, for $1,825. And nowadays, the most recent sale I could find was for about $122, which would be a 92.9% loss. Whoo boy, I hope none of y'all bought back in 2021, because if you did, I can pretty much guarantee you lost a good bit of money. Let me know what you thought of the video, folks. Let me know what you think of Celebrations and the fact that most of the cards have dropped 90% or more. Leave a comment below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you all in my next one.